Yo. Welcome in, man. Today is October the 16th. Welcome to the ChrisBeCappinn Show. We got two more teams for the NBA previews. We're down to four teams left. So second to last episode, man. Super excited to jump into these two. Hopefully you guys are as well. So hit the like button for me as you can, and let's do just that. Today, we will be talking about the Toronto Raptors and the Dallas Mavericks. One I'm super excited to talk about. The other one not as much, and you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure it out. But this is the preview calendar. If you've missed any of the previews, you can go back and check the video section on my YouTube page and catch up on every single team that you've missed outside of the New Orleans Pelicans and the Charlotte Hornets, which are the last two teams that are left. Let's jump into it, man. We'll get the ugly out the way first, which is the Toronto Raptors. Not a team I'm super high on. Last season, the Raptors went 25 and 57 straight up. Start of a rebuild season for them. They finished 34, 45, and 3 against the number. This was a team that finished the season really, really bad. I talked about the Washington Wizards starting the season 2-19. The Toronto Raptors actually finished the season 2-19. Last 21 games, terrible finish to the season. We know that they made the midseason trade to bring over RJ Barrett and Emmanuel quickly to the Knicks. They also traded Pascal Siakam, who was the last piece of that championship team that won. I think that was in 2019. They traded him to the Pacers. And here we are, rebuild for the Toronto Raptors. And everything's kind of centered around Scottie Barnes now. He's expected to be the number one guy. They paid him like he was the number one guy. And he did have a really good season last season. Averaged just under 20 points per game, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and he made the All-Star team. They extended him 5 years, $225 million. They gave Quickly the bag as well. He was, well due for his time that he spent with the Knicks. 5 years, $175 million for him. And you don't have to really worry about RJ Barrett because he's under contract till the 2020 season. So this will be their core moving forward. Is it enough? Absolutely not, in my opinion. You can see what they did. I mentioned the, re-signing Scottie Barnes, signing Emmanuel Quickly, getting Garrett Temple under another contract who doesn't move the needle, but is a really good vet. You add Bruno Fernando. Davion Mitchell is an interesting, name coming over from Sacramento Kings. A player that, probably will get a little bit more burn than he did in Sacramento. He's a really good defender. It's going to be interesting to see if he can, get his shot to fall and shoot the three-point ball. Well, I think that'll keep him on the floor a little bit more. They draft Jacoby Walter, who is supposed to be, pretty good for this team. We'll see how he pans out. A couple other guys in the draft as well. I don't know how much those guys will play. A couple of them probably be two-way players. And we'll see how that goes. Jalen McDaniels went to the Kings. He was on this team at the end of last season. Then the Kings recently just traded him to San Antonio, which works really, really well for them because he's a really good defender like his brother, Jaden McDaniels. Gary Trent Jr., of course, is on the Bucks. They got Sasha Vezenkov from the Sacramento Kings, but they waived him, which I thought Sasha Vezenkov should have been on some team, but we'll see how that goes. This Toronto team, though, as currently constructed, when I look at the team, I don't think that they really have a strong identity. Last season after the trade, they were terrible defensively, and they just wanted to run fast. And if that's still going to be the case this year, I think it's going to be a lot of times you can take overs with them, just because of the pace that they play at. And just to put some numbers behind that, I was looking into Toronto last season. They finished 27th in points allowed per 100 possessions. They were giving up 119.4. Opponent shot the third best effective field goal percentage against them, north of 57%. They also, gave up a ton of offensive rebounds. They were the third worst offensive rebounding team in the NBA. And those numbers just got worse towards the second half of the season. They dropped to second worst in points allowed per 100 possessions, points, opponent effective field goal percentage, opponent offensive rebound rate. They were the worst team in the second half of the season, losing by an average of 12.3 points per game. And, it's just going to be another rebuild year for this Toronto team, in my opinion. I don't see them. I think they'll be exciting because they have a young core, but I don't think that they'll do much. Adding Davion Mitchell, like I said, I think it helps defensively, but how many minutes does he play? They did draft another guard. I forgot what his name is, but He kind of resembles I can't think of my man's name that played for the Pelicans. It'll come to me in a few minutes, but just a kind of a three. Well, not even a defensive type guy, just more, not even a 3-point guy, more of a defensive pest that can get to the basket and probably try to play make for others as well. He could be, ends up taking some of Davion Mitchell minutes. We'll see how that goes. Also, when I look at the bench, I don't see a lot of scoring off this bench. Grady Dick is someone that needs to work on his defensive game. I do think his offensive game will continue to develop, and he'll be able to knock down some shots from the outside. But this is a very young bench, probably one of the youngest benches in the NBA. And besides him, I think they lack three-point shooting, which could spell trouble with them being able to just stay in games even when they are clicking offensively. It feels like this is a team that's going to score some nights and some nights not score that much and get blown out by a lot of points. But we'll see how it goes, especially with a super young nucleus here. You can see for them to make the play-in the East, plus 190, to make the playoffs plus 600, and regular season win total sitting at 29.5. I actually think they go under. I thought the win total was a tad bit too high. I don't think that this team wins 30 games, and there's potential, for them to end up, making a few trades and blowing this thing up even more. So I would definitely not be playing Toronto over their win total. Only way I would play is the under 29.5. I'm not sure if I'll get there or not, but that is the one bet that appeals to me the most. I think this is a 23, 22, 24 win team at the most. Not big on the Toronto Raptors this season. Let's get over to a team that I do think we should all be, a little big on this season, and that's the Dallas Mavericks. To everyone's surprise, at least mine last year, the Mavs end up in the NBA Finals. They go 50-32 straight up, 46-35-1 against the number, covering 57% of their games, which is, probably top 5. I don't think I looked at that specific number. 13-9 straight up in the playoffs before they lose lose 4-1. Gentleman's sweep to the Boston Celtics. Luka was the catalyst, of course. Led the league in scoring, just under 34 points per game. Finished third in MVP voting last season while staying relatively healthy. Kyrie finally looked happy last season. They made that mid-season trade to add PJ Washington, add Daniel Gafford. They helped the front court out a lot with Derek Lively, who also exceeded a lot of expectations, specifically on the defensive end. He was light years better than most people thought. Light years better than I thought as well. This was a Mavs team that after they made those moves, they got hot at the right time. It reminded me a lot of like a wild card in NFC, a wild card in MLB, or a wild card in the NFL. That wins, in the play, like that gets hot, wins a couple games to get to the wild card, and then they just kind of clicking on all cylinders. This was a Mavs team that won 16 of their last 18 games when their starters played towards the last 18 games of the season. They beat the Clippers in the first round. That was an injured Clipper team that didn't have Paul George. They didn't have Kawhi Leonard, of course. I think he played one game. But they also knocked off the Thunder. The Thunder had just come off a sweep against the New Orleans Pelicans. And then they take care of business against the Timberwolves, who took the Denver Nuggets to 7 games before, like I said, losing to Boston. What really, stood out in that finals series was Dallas' ability to shoot the three-point ball, though. They finished the regular season top 3 in three-point attempts and makes. Against Joe Mazzulla in that Boston defense, not as much at all. Just 106.7 points per 100 possessions. With PJ Washington and Derrick Jones Jr., Jalen Green, Maxi Kleber all combining to shoot 43 for 106, which is 40% from the field, and 16 for 51. They shot 31% from the three-point line. That was not going to be able to get the job done. So they do retool a little bit. They re-sign Markieff Morris, Brandon Williams. They go out, they add some three-point shooting. Spencer Dinwiddie shot 40% last year. Quentin Grimes shot 40% last year between this time on the Knicks and the Detroit Pistons. You bring in Najee Marshall because you lose Derrick Jones Jr. Very, very similar skill set there, coming over from New Orleans Pelicans. And the biggest addition, of course, is Klay Thompson. I'm not sure if Klay is going to be the biggest addition. We'll see how all that goes. But, at this point, and I'm a big Klay Thompson fan, but I think Klay's kind of washed. I know the expectation will be, his job should be pretty easy. Just be able to stand in the corner, shoot a bunch of threes that come from either Kyrie or Luka whenever they draw a double team, swing, get the ball to Klay. He should get some wide open shots. But Klay hasn't shot the ball well from three, last season, especially towards the end of last season. And also hasn't shot the ball really well, from the 3-point line in the preseason yet either. And I know it's still, knocking off some cobwebs. It doesn't really matter, but Klay's kind of declining at a very high pace, in my opinion. That's just my thoughts. They lose Josh Green. He goes over to the Hornets. Tim Hardaway Jr., of course, is now in Detroit. God bless his soul, on the Pistons. And then Derrick Jones Jr. went to the Clippers. So the loss of Derrick Jones Jr., I think, hurts a little bit. But like I said, you bring in Najee Marshall with a very similar skill set. The other thing I think, I talked about the biggest weakness, but adding Spencer Dinwiddie, Quentin Grimes, I think really addresses that. Klay Thompson as well. And I think, what Coach Jason Kidd will do is he'll probably mix and match a unit that can provide spacing for Luka and Kyrie, no matter which one of these 3-point shooters he puts out there, whether that's Spencer Dinwiddie, Quentin Grimes, Klay Thompson. Najee Marshall can shoot the 3-point ball a little bit as well, but he's really going to get after it defensively. You can see the odds for the Mavs here. Plus 1,100 to win the championship. To win the Northwest, they are plus 135, which I think is the odds-out favorite. And then their regular season win total is 49.5. I think as long as Luka stays healthy, as long as Kyrie stays healthy, the Mavs definitely win 50 games again. I just love the addition of, what they were able to do from a defensive perspective, because their offense was all, for the large part of the season, their offense was top 10 anyway. Like Luka was going out there. It's really difficult to guard Luka. And then when Kyrie is clicking on all cylinders as well. But for me, it was more adding PJ Washington, adding, Daniel Gafford. These guys really changed their trajectory on the defensive end. Now you add a Najee Marshall. Coach Kidd has always been a defensive, even when he played the game, he was a defensive-minded player. So he's going to, of course, continue to be a defensive-minded coach. I like the Mavs this season. Not to get all the way back to the championship. I think that'll be difficult in a very strong, tough Western Conference. But their regular season win total at 49.5 is something that I'm really highly considering. As I kind of go back over and look through my notes. Like I said, I'll do another show to give out some best bets for people who do want to, kind of ride along with me on a couple futures, because I'm not going to make a lot, 5 at the most, but I will be putting in some futures in. 49.5 kind of sticks out to me because I do think this Mavs team's win 50 games as long as they can stay healthy, just given their defensive unit and the way that they can win games, even if their offense isn't clicking. So I like the Mavs this season. I do like the Mavs. When I think about, who they lost, Derrick Jones Jr. doesn't really move the needle to me because you bring in Najee Marshall. Tim Hardaway Jr. was already out of the rotation for last year. And Josh Green also was in the doghouse. He didn't play in the postseason too much anyway. So I think you just get better with this team by adding Spencer Dinwiddie and Quentin Grimes and Najee Marshall. Like I said, Klay Thompson don't really move the needle for me, but I guess it's better than not having a great 3-point shooter. So those are my thoughts on the Mavs, a team that I am kind of really, wanting to buy in on. That'll be it for these two resources here. As always, use that referral code CBC. It'll get you 20% off over on OddsJam. 20% off your first month over on OddsJam. I use the Sportsbook screen page, but it's a lot of different, really cool sports betting tools that you can use to make yourself a better betting handicapper over there on OddsJam. And then Moneyballer as well, 50% off your first month using code ChrisBeCappinn that are interested. It's dirt cheap right now. And it's a lot going on. You got MLB, you got NBA, you got WNBA in the finals. NBA is right around the corner as well. Preseason, happening as we talk. Definitely check out that. It's a one-stop shop that'll make it really easy for you guys to handicap whatever sports it is that you're looking for. Situational spots, stats, trends, first half numbers, first half stats, over, under, you name it. Moneyballer has a little bit of everything. So definitely check that out. And if you made it this far, man, if you enjoy these previews, do me a favor, hit that like button. It's free. Subscribe to the channel if you guys have not. Share the video if you guys would be so inclined to do so. And continue to bet responsibly. I'll catch you guys in the next one. We just got one more preview left. We're done. NBA season right around the corner, man. That'd be good. Catch you guys in the next one.